Taoiseach, the way that children with additional needs are failed by this state is nothing short of scandalous. I have no end of parents contacting me on waiting lists for long times, no end in sight. And what it comes down to is understaffing, underfunding of our health service and an absence of therapists. I'll give you one particular type of example, which is massive shortages in terms of speech and language therapists in the Tallaght and Dublin southwest area. I have had multiple parents share their stories with me. I'll give you some. Quote, the waiting lists for our area are much longer than the children she's in class with and live in areas where they aren't having to wait. Unfortunately, the children of Tallaght are disadvantaged due to long waiting lists. Another quote, at the time of assessment, she was the only paediatric speech therapist in the Ballyboden Primary Care Centre. There should be 4. It took several months to fill one position, and that is all they could fill due to an embargo on staffing, which seems insane to me, as I thought the government were full of promises to address services for children's disabilities. HSE has told me there's currently 50% staff vacancies in speech and language therapy department for Dublin South City. Speech and language, it's other areas as well. I mean, I get answers back from the HSE. I've one here which says we're actively recruiting for its vacancies, the CDNT. But the parent in this case was told by a woman who's on the front line that there's a recruitment embargo, they aren't recruiting. And that, it doesn't seem to me that they are recruiting because the vacancies still exist.
I can assure you this, because I have looked into this, Deputy Murphy. This is not an issue of embargo. I accept the HSE has to live within its budget and we can debate what's an appropriate level of workforce, etc. We have, and I can probably send you the figures, I don't have them to hand, but the amount of fully funded vacant posts we have in Children's Disability Network teams is a significant cause of concern. We ran, now look, there's a little bit of encouragement. We ran a recruitment campaign that I think concluded a little while ago, and at the end of May 160 offers were made to successful candidates. I'm going from my memory here rather than my note, but I think around 53 job offers from that 160 have now been made and processed. There is another recruitment campaign about to be run as well. They're also looking at new innovative ideas around therapy assistance and new grades in that space. It did work in other areas like psychology in the past. They're looking at things like student sponsorship programs as well. But I can absolutely tell you, and I met Bernard Gloucester, the head of the HSE, on this only about a week ago. On this occasion, there's other issues you can point to funding challenges, I'm sure. But on this issue, we actually have more funding allocated than posts we can currently fill. And we need to work intensively in relation to that, and we are. The second thing we need to do is we need to increase the number of people that we're training in these spaces. And I want to thank my colleague, Minister O'Donovan, and the Minister for Health and the Minister for Education for some work that's been done in relation to very significantly increasing the number of training places in Irish universities from September. It doesn't fix every issue, but it should provide us with a pipeline of graduates coming out of Irish universities in key therapies like speech and language, occupational therapy, physiotherapy and others. And I'm pleased that that will kick off from September.